I want to get everybody's opinion on today's radio towards hip hop. Um, do you feel like the radio has dumbed down hip hop? Is a question I'm opposing, and as far as my opinion, I do think that radio has somewhat dumbed down hip hop because when we look at 90s radio, you would have everybody being played. Whether it was the conscious music, whether it was the gangster music, whether it was independent arts, which I think is a lost art within today's radio, and so on and so on. But now you have radio programmers who come in every day to work, and they look at what's the hot songs, or who's paid the money to have their records spin, which a lot of people are not aware of that. But of course I'm aware of it because I'm in the industry. But record labels pay certain radio stations to play certain music over and over and over, and that's how you have a lot of people walking around and saying, well, I didn't first like the song, but the song kind of grew on me. And that's because you've heard it on the radio 1,000 times, whether it was on the way to work, or or you on your way home from work, or wherever you're going. You've heard the song so much that you've kind of programmed in your mind to think, oh, well, it's not a bad song, and maybe it's not a bad song. But I don't think that the radio gives the listeners the ability to choose what they feel is hot. A lot of times, you have, like I said, you have these radio programmers that come and see what songs hot, who's paid to have their record spin, and they'll put the same songs in rotation. That's why it doesn't matter what hip hop station you turn to, it's the same song being played over and over and over. You're probably going to hear Rick Ross. You're going to hear Drake. You're probably going to hear Lil Wayne maybe somewhere in there. You probably hear Kendrick. You'll hear J. Cole here and there. And you'll probably hear, maybe some Young Jeezy or something like that. And then more than likely it'll be an up-tempo club record. But I do think, from my perspective, from my professional perspective, that radio has killed hip-hop because radio's not for the people anymore. It's more or less for, it's turned into more of a business more than anything. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you slide me 20,000, and I'll keep your record spinning damn near 24/7 for the whole month. And this is all, of course, to generate record sales, generate buzz, and push certain names out there more than another artist. But one thing that I think needs to come back to radio is giving independent artists more exposure. A long time ago, the early 90s, late 80s, you were able to call up to the radio station. It might be a hot artist, in the neighborhood or whatever. You might see them at shows or, local carnival or so. They might go to your high school or at your college. And they're hot. You like their talent. You like their music. You can call them and say, hey, blah, 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 such and such. I want to hear this record. Or, check out this artist. And the DJ actually play independent artists. And those artists will, get buzz. You might get booked for shows, which is, money in your pocket. You could even get record deals simply off of the people liking your music and requesting that you will play on the radio. But, it's a very lost art, and I do think that needs to come back to the scene. I think a lot of these radio stations need to be more about the people instead of just the politics of the game and who's getting paid to do what and who's kissing ass to have certain records played. But that's my opinion on it. You guys give me your opinion on it. Do you think radio has dumbed down hip hop? I'm out.